Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Bing. Greetings from Kinodvor Cinema in Ljubljana. We just finished watching the movie and we're looking forward to Q&A. After seeing it made us think about the topics presented in the film. We found it to be a touching experience and we really enjoyed watching it. Thank you for taking your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for screening the film.
At first sight, it looks like the skateboarding is at the forefront of the film, but in fact, it's merely its background. At the forefront are the problems of young people, domestic trauma, difficult relationships, racism, confronting the past, and achieving independence. What inspired you to film a documentary with such content?
I think I wanted to create something that the younger version of myself really needed to see. I think growing up in a household that had a lot of abuse and violence, I really sought movies and books and music that could help me survive. And I could never get enough of the media that really, gave me hope. And so I wanted to create something that could go deep in that way for young people growing up today.
It's probably difficult to direct a film in which you and your friends are the main protagonist. Could you describe the process of filming?
Sure. Yeah. When I was 23, I was living in Chicago, and I was working in the film industry in the camera department, and I had always done my own short films on the side. And so my next short film was going to be about skateboarders' relationships with their families and how that affected them growing up. So I drove around the country and started following skateboarders from all over the place. And then a year in, I went back to Rockford, where I grew up, and that's actually when I met Kier for the first time. I know there's a lot of footage of him and Zach when they were younger, but most of that I didn't shoot. We were in the same community, but I wasn't actually that close of friends with them. But I mean, like, skateboarders do that all the time. They get footage from all over the place, and they create these montages. But at the time, I was starting to work with a production company in Chicago called Cartemquin, who's best known for the film Hoop Dreams. And I realized I wanted to make a film that felt like a narrative film, like where you follow characters and you see a story unfold. And so I chose Kier because I could tell from our first interview that we did together that he was ready to go on this emotional journey. And I followed Zach because he was about to become a father. And then as the years rolled on, the story unfolded the way that it did. And I decided to enter the film very late in the process as a way to give the audience insight into my filmmaker decisions because, things were starting to get a little challenging and ethically ambiguous in terms of just, like, should I be making this film? Like, how do I go about making this film and do right by the people in it? And then it was the final, and I was, like, editing as I was shooting. But it wasn't until the final months of editing when I wanted to build up my own story through the footage that I shot when I was much younger. But I didn't, I was looking for footage of myself. Like I said, I didn't know Kier, and Zach I barely knew, so I didn't have that much footage of him. But when I was looking at old tapes and looking for footage of myself, I discovered that this clip of this young boy getting into a fight at the skate park. And I was like, oh my God, I think that's Kier when he was I was like 19 and he was like 12. So I didn't, but, and then I texted my friend a photo of that clip and they were like, yeah, that is Kier. And so then I was like, what if I go back and get more footage of Kier and more footage of Zach and expand the sense of time in the film so it makes it feel like you're going through this decade-long journey.
To present a story about yourself and your friends requires a lot of sincerity and honesty. You were probably often in a dilemma what to say or show and what not. How did you and your friends deal with that? How many versions of the film were made and how much material disappeared during the film editing?
I think I shot for like 250 days over the course of 5 years. A lot of stuff fell on the cutting room floor. It wasn't that I didn't really worry about what to show or what not to show in a major way because I told them early on, hey, look, I'm going to show you the film before we ever put the film out into the world. I don't want you to not be on board with this project. And so they knew early on that, they were going to get a chance to see everything in context. I mean, there were, a lot of scenes like Zach and Nina going into the hospital to do, because Nina was late in her pregnancy, so she had to get induced into labor. And then there were like whole storylines. There was a father-son duo who were part of the Rockford skateboarding community, and I tracked them for a couple years, and ultimately we just couldn't fit them into the film.
So for the needs of the film, you had to examine a lot of filmed and archived material. How did you feel when you lived it all over again? Did your views change during the creative process? Could you say that the process itself was therapeutic?
Yeah, I mean, the process helped in therapy. Like I was seeing a therapist while I was making the film. I mean, that was much more therapeutic than making the film. I mean, for the film itself, I think I was more the therapist to other people. In reviewing old clips, I mean, yeah, it brought me back to old memories, I think, which I think served the purpose of telling my own story, and also helped me think about things when I was doing therapy work with my therapist.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. We have one question.
Where are you living?
I'm living in Chicago, Illinois now.
Any more questions?
Okay, moving on. Your documentary has received critical acclaim, winning the Special Jury Award at the Sundance Film Festival. It was also this year's Oscar nominee for Best Documentary Feature. How does it feel to receive critical acclaim in Sundance, or to hear that you're nominated for an Oscar?
I mean, it was nice. It was unexpected. I didn't go into this film wanting to win awards or anything, and so it was a nice, way to have the film be validated, and I think it's made more people want to see the film. So,
has the success of the film in any way affected the life of Jack, Kier, Nina, and other protagonists? Where are they now?
Yeah, Kier lives in Phoenix, Arizona. He's skateboarding, working. I mean, he's 22. He's still kind of young. Zach is getting married to Sam, who you saw in the film a little bit near the end. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have their second child. And they just bought a house together. And he got a new job. Nina is no longer working at restaurants. She's working an administrative office job now. So it's a lot easier for her in terms of childcare. Yeah, it's certainly changed them in the sense that, they feel like their stories are validated, like their stories mean something.
We found out that you were influenced by movies like Gamo, Kids, Waking Life. What kind of films do you like, and which of them influenced you the most?
I think I like films that represent the people that are on the margins of society, and I like films that do it in an honest and genuine way, that's not pitying or looking down on people on the edges of society. I mean, generally, I like delicate, emotional, intimate films about life, I guess.
Will you continue filming documentaries, or are you also interested in other genres?
Well, I'm finishing my second documentary and about to start my third, but I have a couple of fiction projects in the works as well.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Do you still have time to skate, and do you still love it as much as you did?
Yeah, I think I love skateboarding more now because I feel like I do it for different reasons now. It's really about the fun and the love, and I have a different relationship with skateboarding. I certainly don't do it as much as I did when I was a kid, but I think I find, especially now that it's starting to warm up outside, I feel like I go out like once every week or once every 2 weeks.
Any more questions?
More at the beginning of the film, we see a guy that owns a skateboard shop, and I want to know what kind of role did he play in your childhood? Because it seems like he was kind of he had a guidance role when you were growing up.
Yeah, I mean, he was an adult who felt safe to be around. And I think that's one of the things that also didn't make it into the film. There are a lot of adults who come into young people's lives and, act as positive influences on them. And Eric, who worked at the skate shop that I liked to hang out at when I was younger, was one of those adults who was in my life that I could trust and talk to and feel safe around.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were about to finish up that you were about to finish up your second project. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about it? Like, is this similarly personal story, or are you venturing into new and unknown places?
Yeah, my second documentary is about young men in Chicago surviving gun violence, neighborhoods that are affected by gun violence. I mean, it's about a lot more than that, but that's generally what it's about. And my third project is about millennial love and intimacy, and that's a project that film is following people from around the world.
Any more?
I would like to know, when you reflect on your past life, how did the skateboarding shape you as a person? What did it teach you? If you'd like to share.
Skateboarding taught me a lot of things. It taught me the value of failure. Like, failure is part of the process. It's part of life. It's how you learn. It taught me that everything is constructed, right? Like, I think skateboarders see public space and see the world in a way that is different than someone who doesn't skateboard. And it makes you think a lot about just, I think how you can deconstruct everything. You can deconstruct society down to, disparate parts. And it's taught me, and the fact that skateboarding is so, like, made up. It's like make-believe in a way. Like, tricks are tricks because we collectively decide they're tricks. And tricks change all the time. And things become trendy and fashionable, and things go away and they're no longer trendy and fashionable. And it's hard to say, because I feel like I've identified as a skateboarder for over half my life now. I started when I was 12. I'm 30 now. And it's sort of just the way that I view the world now.
Any more? Okay. When you were editing the scenes of skateboarding, was there more footage of failed tricks or of successful ones?
More failed tricks. Skateboarding is really hard, and it's weird because, like, failure is normal. I think in a lot of other, like sports or physical activities, failure is like failure, right? But in skateboarding, failure is the norm. It's like 99% of the time you're just failing. But, like, you don't think of it as failure. It's just part of the process. And I think that aids you. It also aids me as a creative person, right? It's like failure is just what happens. It's just what you do. Yeah.
How did you decide to add which tricks to which scene?
I don't know. It's like I'm a very intuitive person. And it's just the way that I've always edited skateboarding specifically. It's just, you just go off of intuition. Generally, you try to save more, difficult tricks for later in a montage. You let music drive a lot. It's very different from editing, editing for story and editing for character. I think skateboarding editing is its own little thing. It feels more like a music video than it does like a story.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Just thanks for coming out and seeing the film. I'm glad that you all took a chance, and yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. It has been a real pleasure talking to you. We really appreciate it and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.